Welcome. It's Stacey Ashley, and already we're on episode 3 of my summer series. So, welcome if you're live, and if you're watching the recording, I'd love to know your thoughts. How is your Christmas holiday break going? Are you getting the recharge that you needed after the year that was 2020? Okay, just checking I'm live. So today, the focus in my session, we've done return to work, we've done replenish. So today is about reflecting on the year that was and taking what we can from it, appreciating, celebrating, doing all of those great things that are super important in order for us to be able to move forward, learning from the experiences of the past. So again, welcome if you're live. I've got a little exercise that I want to share with you today. And if you're watching the recording, then you can do this in your own time. So you will need a pen and paper or a tablet or whatever it is that you use just to be able to take a few notes. And the idea here is it's exactly that. It's a reflection to understand some of the things that are worthy of notice from 2020. A lot's been achieved, not just in reaction and response to the pandemic conditions, but to actually to really be able to make progress and to identify what worked. And I think those are really important things because then we can take that forward into 2021, where we're going to face a whole set of new leadership challenges that any learning that we can gain will help to prepare us for. So again, would love to know how you're going in the holiday, whether you're having one, where are you in the world, and whether it's something that you do on a regular basis to reflect and to learn from that reflection. One of the things that I notice when I'm working with organisations is that there isn't perhaps enough focus on celebrating what worked, celebrating effort, acknowledging and valuing, contributions. But I think also in the year that was, one of the things that's really powerful is to not just think about what our goals are and whether we achieve a goal, but to recognize progress. If we want to keep people, ourselves included, with a positive kind of can-do mindset where we want to keep putting effort in, we want to keep contributing, then focusing on progress is such a really important thing to do. And so the purpose of today's exercise is really to help you to do that. So if you haven't got something to write on yet, then maybe, quickly grab something. So I'm just going to pop my iPad up and share with you this little reflection exercise. And you can use this for yourself, of course, but also for your team, or you can share it with your family. There's lots of opportunity here. So in fact, before I do that, let me just confirm. So today's session, I want to do the reflection with you, which is the WWW exercise. And then we're just going to review that and take the positives, take the useful things, take the learning from that so that you can use it going forward and really refine, your approach. So grab that pen. Let me turn this off. Let me put my iPad up. And I'm just going to, for myself, quickly set up some info so that I've got it to hand. Okay. Just going to pop that over there onto my other screen. Alrighty. All right. So let's get this show on the road. Alrighty. So again, thanks for joining me. So this exercise, you just need a blank piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is get you to just draw 3 vertical columns. So, whoops. So we've got 1. Oh, come on, straighten up. There we go. Oh, not really that straight, but that's okay. So 3 columns. And you're just going to do a bit of brainstorming for yourself. And this is an exercise actually that I use with my own team at least every quarter. And sometimes, it might be at the end of a particular project or something like that. We would also do this reflection exercise. But what I would encourage you to do is to think about it when we go through this activity for yourself, but also in the context of, your team and your organization. So the first thing is to think about, for the year of 2020, since we're coming to the end of the calendar year, what were your wins? And so that is our column on the left. Just to brainstorm out for yourself, what are all the wins that you had? And for some of us, the wins are going to be things like, we made it to the end of the year. We, were able to keep focus. We were able to keep our team together and that sort of thing. There might be other wins might be, particular programs of work that you delivered. A win might be that you just simply managed to continue to deliver throughout the year. A win might be that you changed strategic direction. It might be that you successfully moved all of your people to work from home for a period of time and that worked. So what are all of the wins that you can identify? It may be that you were able to maintain your focus. It might be that you were able to keep your work-life balance. A win might be that you got to spend more quality time with your family or doing other things that were important to you. So just all of the wins that are around yourself, home, work, team, tribe. Maybe a win was you got more exercise in. Maybe it was that you did some learning. Maybe it was that you were actually able to keep time for yourself in what's been, an extreme year. So there's lots and lots of things that you could, incorporate into this wins column. So all of the things that you can identify that have been wins for you and your team and your family and your people and your business this year. It may be another win may be that you've managed to keep connected with people during lockdown. It might be that you've supported the people around you really well. There's lots and lots of different facets to think about here, but the idea is you want to capture them. And so wins can cover a whole, gamut of different aspects. The other thing is that we're doing this exercise really quickly right now. You might like to come back to it, and have a few times when you actually do this reflection of what are all the wins that you have had this year. It may be that you set up support for people who needed help. It might be that you collaborated with other people in your industry. It might be that you now have more robust plans in place, to deal with these kind of emergency and crisis conditions. It might be that a win might be that you reduced expenses or you reduced risk, or you created new product, or that you got better outcomes in your engagement survey or your customer survey. There's so many things. So I'm going to give you, another minute or so just to quickly make some notes on some of the wins that you have had in the year of 2020. While you do that, I'm just going to check my streams and see if there's any comments. Beautiful. Perfect. Okay. So again, the reason that we do this is because there's a couple of reasons that we want to do this kind of reflection. And the first one is, to recognize your achievements, your progress, and the people around you. It's been a year of, it's been tough. There's lots of aspects where there have been a lot of challenges. And so I think we need to balance that out with some of the good that's happened as well, some of the progress that's been made, some of the things that have happened to move us forward. So let's get some balance back. That helps to support our mindset and to recognize ourselves and others for the great value they've offered and contribution that they've made. So that's part of why we do reflection, why it's such an important thing, is to bring balance into our perspective. The other thing, though, is and to be able to celebrate, I guess, the achievements, the progress, the contribution, to acknowledge people and that sort of thing. But the second part of it is to take learning from it. What are the things that have worked for us, and or that we got a good result from, and so how can we do more of that, or how can we adapt it for the future? So that's they're the two key reasons that we want to do this kind of reflection activity. The next part, so once you've got your wins, identified all those wins, and again, you can come back to these and add more. This is not a static kind of piece of work. Continue to grow it. And as I said, for me, we do this exercise in my team. Every quarter, we reflect on our wins and the other two components. So the wins are, we've made progress here, we've achieved goals, we've delivered things, and so on. The next thing I want to get you to focus on and reflect on is what is working. Okay, and so that's our middle column. And I should just do a shout out to Taki Moore. I learnt this technique and I've adapted it. And so I learnt it from him and I've now adapted it. This is really important to recognize what is working. And again, big range of aspects for you to consider around yourself, and whether that's work or home, around your team, your industry, family, all of the aspects of kind of in your world. But things that are working could be, obviously things like systems and particular systems, particular processes. It may be the way that your team is working together at the moment in whatever conditions you have, how you've adapted to respond to working from home or partially working from home or those sorts of things. It might be what's working might be communication. It might be the way people are collaborating with each other. What's working for you might be the work-life balance that you've created for yourself. It might be what else is working. It might be how you've actually carved out time, that you get to spend with your family, and that's working for them and working for you. So what is working? Maybe the way that you do your planning processes are working. Maybe the way that you deal with, project review processes. So all the different components of the things that are working for you. Maybe it's the way that you set your goals. You're doing it differently and it's working. Maybe it's the way you measure progress and success. Maybe that's working. Maybe the way you communicate your successes. Maybe that's, or your progress. Maybe that's working. Maybe the relationships that you have with different parts of the business or your peers or your boss, maybe that's working. Maybe it's a relationship with your team. Maybe that's what's working at the moment. So again, we brainstorm out all of the things that are working. And when I say working, they're effective and efficient, and they operate smoothly, and they deliver the things that, the results that you want. They're supporting you. Maybe what's working is the level of resources you've got, the kind of tools you've got access to, the information you've got access to. Again, so many things. So we just brainstorm out all of the things that are working right now or have been working over the course of the year. And again, with this one, you can come back to it. Come back to add other things as they come to mind. What are the things that have been working in 2020? Because that gives us real insight into how do we move forward into 2021. So I'd love to hear from you some thoughts about, some of the wins from this year, what's been working this past year, so that, that the things that others can learn from as well. Okay, so now we've got wins, the things that have been wins for you, your tribe, your world this year, what's working for you, your tribe, your world this year. And then what we want to do is also set ourselves up to, go forward into, of course, 2021. So the third column is used for what do you want? And so that could be a whole range of things. Again, thinking about yourself, your tribe, so home tribe, work tribe, and your world, the system in which you operate. So what are the things that you want? What do you want to keep working? Where are the things that you want to make further progress? What do you want to happen? What do you want to be able to look back on with pride at the end of 2021? So what do you want? What are the relationships that you want to have? What's the kind of things that you want to deliver? What what learning do you want to undertake? Again, big range of aspects. So think about that. What do you want in terms of that work-life balance? What do you want in terms of all the important factors in your life and how they fit together? So again, just brainstorming it out. Okay, so you've now got, and again, with this third column, of course, you can come back and revisit that as you think about, what is it I want from 2021? What is it that I want to contribute? What is it that I want to achieve? What is it I want to learn? What is it I want to make a difference to? What do I want to be proud of at the end of the year? So this just gives you kind of a working framework to really, I guess, facilitate that reflection on 2020, because there was so much going on. There wasn't actually a lot of space to stop, breathe, reflect, appreciate what was good or what progressed, and take the learning and move forward. So now is as good a time as any to be able to do that. And of course, as I said, you can apply this kind of process anytime. You can make it a regular quarterly or half yearly thing. You could do it at the end of a project, all of those kinds of things. So there's lots of opportunity to do this. So you get, that great encapsulation of what have been the wins for the period, what's working in the period, and what do you want for the next period. So that's the first part of our reflect. But then we want to review it and to really look at, okay, so now that I know that, what learning can I take? And so thinking about this in sort of three dimensions, I talk about leadership. Oh, what's happened? There we go. Let me just see if I can get my circle drawn. Here we go. Just make that a little bit smaller. Okay. I talk about leadership in three dimensions. And so my iPad's just seized a little bit. So let me just close that and pop this up again and see if we can get a little bit more action happening. So when I talk about leadership, I talk about it in three dimensions. And sorry, I've just got some glare and on my screen. Right. So there are three dimensions. And so when we do our learning, it's good to do our learning, using those three dimensions as well. So when we talk about leadership and leading possibility, we've got, let's change color here. We've got yourself is one dimension of leadership. We've got your tribe is the second dimension of leadership. And then we've got your world. And so when I do a review, then I want to look at each of those three components. And so when I look at the learning, so we've got, our wins and what's working and what we want. So think about for yourself when you're looking at what did I learn? So what did I learn about myself in this, past intense year or past period, or what did I learn about myself during this program of work or in this role, whatever the context is. So what did you learn? Oops. Okay, what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself? And it might be things like what you need to be able to perform at your optimum. What are those key components? It might be that you learned about how you respond to emergency situations, what you do well, and what you need to learn more about. It might be the measure of your own resilience. That's what you learned. It might be that you learned how you do, remotely, how well, you can stay connected or not with people. And so those learnings, and there'll be some learnings that you're really happy with, and there'll be some learnings that reveal an opportunity for you moving forward. It might be things that you recognize are not your strengths. It might be things that you recognize you need to build capability in. So again, what did you learn about yourself? And again, this is just, it's just a bit of brainstorming, and then you can choose what to do with that information. The second component here is your tribe. So what have you learned this year about your tribe? And there's, of course, your tribe is all the people, around you. So it might be your peers, your boss, your team, your stakeholders, your customers, your suppliers and providers. It might be, your family, your friends, your teammates from sport. So what have you learnt about your tribe? What works for them? What doesn't work for them? Where have they really been able to contribute or add value? Where have they really stepped up? Where have they found it challenging? Where are there gaps in capability, for example? So what have you learned about them? Again, it's a brainstorming exercise. And you can come back to all of these things, and revisit them, and, and spend a bit more time. And you can also share this with the people around you so they can do exactly the same activity. Because what this is about is really, I guess what I want for everyone is to be able to position themselves as well as possible for 2021, because 2021 is not, everything's brand new and sparkling and off we go again. 2021 will have its own challenges. There'll be different challenges because we've already had 2020. And at the end of 2020, people are super fatigued and, they want to move on to greener pastures, and the pastures are not necessarily going to be greener. They may in some places, but not in others. And so what we have to do as leaders is position ourselves and the people around us in the best way that we can, so that we can, lead in possibility during 2021. And so the more information we've got to work with, then that's going to help us. So again, with this review, in terms of what did you learn, the third thing is about your world. So what did you learn about your world? And this might be, your world is kind of the context in which you operate. So it's things like systems and process and culture and policies and procedures and everything that makes up the ecosystem around you. And so when you think about what did you learn, so where did you feel well supported or not? Where was there good resources and tools and systems or not? Where are the processes working or not? Or could they be improved? So, what did you learn? Lots of organizations, for example, have learned about the importance of, having great wellness and health and wellbeing programs and that sort of thing. And so if they don't have those, that's an opportunity to either introduce them or to elevate them and make them really accessible. What else did you learn? Maybe our systems were okay for going online together, but they could be better. Maybe our systems were amazing for going online, but as a consequence, everyone spends all their time online, and they're not getting as much work done. So what have you learnt about that? In terms of your world, maybe it's about, the level of social interaction that you've been able to facilitate or not. Maybe, again, it's about what are the things that you need to have in place to be able to make that happen. Maybe you gained insight into priorities within your organization or within your team or within, your home environment. And that could be that the priorities were great and really supported what needed to happen, or maybe they were a little bit out of sync, and so something needs to be done about those. So there's lots of things here about, what did you learn that you can take forward, and what did you learn that maybe needs to be improved? What did you learn that is great, so you need to protect it so you can make decisions about that? And or what needs to be, eradicated because it wasn't supportive and it wasn't providing resource and it wasn't kind of helping everyone to make progress and move forward. All right, so lots of opportunity here to reflect in these three dimensions of leadership. So I'm just going to check in and see if there are any comments or thoughts. So pop them in if you're watching the recording. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this reflect and review process and how it's working for you. And if you're live, of course, I want to hear what you've got to say as well. So I'm just going to check here, check my feed and see what's coming up there. Okay, sorry, my internet's super slow. Okay, so now you've done the review. You've done your wins, what's working and what you want, and your reflection and a review of what did you learn about self, tribe, and world. And so then what that leads us to is you've got this idea of what you want, and so that gives you some ideas that you can begin to input into future plans for 2021 for yourself, your team, your organization, home, whatever it might be. And you've got some learnings to take from the exercise around self, tribe, and world. And so my question then becomes, based on that learning, what will you do differently in 2021? Which is quite a big question. And you can break it down to what will you do differently in terms of yourself? What will you do differently in terms of your tribe? What will you do differently in terms of your world? So there'll be some things that you keep because they're really working and supporting you and your tribe and your world. And there'll be some things that need to change, either change to something different or be different in that you want to elevate them or, amplify them. So that's the final question I want to leave you with today is what will you do differently going forward? And I guess differently as a leader in 2021, so your leading possibility. And I would love to know from you what that one or two or three things might be that will actually make a difference for you, your tribe, and your world. Okay, let me just see how we're going. Thanks, Penny. Yeah, doing this exercise quarterly really keeps you on track. And it really makes sure that you're sort of in sync with the people around you, and it gives them the opportunity to kind of jump into that conversation. So you can do this alone, this whole reflect and review. You can do it alone, but it's really great to also do in conjunction with your team or in conjunction with, your home people, family and partner and so on. So that they can, put their ideas into the mix as well. Because when you've got more information to work with, then you create, more choices and opportunity for yourselves and for them, which is, again, one of the key things that you need to be doing, as a leader is to create choice and opportunity and to help people to work through those things and to make really good choices for themselves and for the things that they want to achieve, in the context of how you're working together. So I hope that those exercises have been useful. What I would encourage you to do, of course, is to spend a little bit more time on them, but you don't have to spend huge amounts of time. Just 10 or 20 minutes to do that reflection and review will get you a lot of information to work with. And you don't need to actually put it into action straight away. I think often it's good to have the information and just kind of to sit with it for a little while. It is the holidays. And so or for a lot of people, it's the holidays. So it's a good opportunity to not rush through these things. But I think sometimes having a frame to do your reflection can be useful, which is why I've shared it today. So if you haven't watched episode 1 and episode 2 already, I'd encourage you to go back and have a look at those, because there might be some really useful things in there, again, for during this holiday period, but also that you'll be able to use in future. So the next episode is on Sunday late afternoon if you're in Australia, so 5 p.m. Sydney time. And what we're going to be focusing on is relationships. I think this year has really tested relationship and connection. And so I've got a few ideas to share with you there to help you to understand kind of the current state of your relationships and connection and network, and how to focus going forward to optimize that both for you and for the people around you. So enjoy the rest of the day, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on what I've shared this morning, and look forward to catching you on a future episode of the summer series. And otherwise, enjoy restful, replenishing, re-energizing break. If you're working, I hope you get to have that break fairly soon, because we certainly all need it after, this interesting 2020. All right, bye for now.